Coretta, are we live?
Yes, we're live now.
Okay.
So, for those of you who might have watched at 2 o'clock, we were live, but then unfortunately we had some technical difficulties, and I was told that you were unable to hear me. And as such, I will be doing this interview again because it's sufficiently important for us to do again. And I'm grateful to Mr. Millet for sparing some more time for us to get it right. So we're just going to start right again from the top and welcome you to ECTEL Bytes, a production of the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority. I'm your host, Coretta Fitzgerald, ECTEL Communications and Media Relations Manager. Happy World Telecommunication and Information Society Day. It might not be as popular as Earth Day, but yes, there is such an observance. And this year's theme is Accelerating Digital Transformation in Challenging Times. World Telecommunication and Information Society Day, or WTISD, has been celebrated annually on May 17th since 1969 to mark the founding of the International Telecommunication Union, or the ITU, and the signing of the first International Telegraph Convention in 1865. We know that information and communication technologies, or ICTs, play an important role for the continued operation of societies. But with the onslaught of the COVID-19 pandemic, this is much clearer now. Plus, what is more evident is the disparity between and within countries where ICT is concerned. For example, there are many stories of children who are unable to participate in online school because they have no access to internet or devices. So it's no coincidence that we decided to launch our Facebook Live show, ECTEL Bytes, today, May 17th, in observance of World Telecommunication and Information Society Day. Many people might have heard of ECTEL, but for those who have not, we decided to use this platform to share more about who we are, what we do, and how we serve the people of our 5 member states. Why ECTEL Bytes? Well, Byte, BYTE, that's a unit of digital information that most commonly consists of 8 bits. So since as we are all about electronic communication, BYTS is just a play on bytes, BITES, because the show will give you bite-sized information about our work as well as that of the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, NTRC. So let's welcome our very special guest to the launch of today's show, ECTEL's Managing Director, Mr. Andrew Millet. Mr. Millet, good afternoon again.
Hi, good afternoon, Coretta. Thanks very much for being part of this first show and using this media to promote the work of ECTEL and NTRCs.
Awesome. So we're going to jump right into it. Mr. Millet, could you give us an overview of ECTEL's regulatory framework?
Okay, yes, of course. ECTEL, abbreviation for the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority, was established on the 4th of May 2000 by treaty by 5 member states. If we start from the south, we have Grenada, then St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have St. Lucia, Dominica, the Commonwealth of Dominica, and St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, we were formed by treaty, and this treaty was amended on the 5th of December 2019 in order to bring in the EC bill, which was promulgated in St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, in terms of the regulatory structure of ECTEL, we have a Council of Ministers that's comprising of 1 minister from each member state, and that minister is a minister responsible for electronic communications. The Council of Ministers appoint 1 person to serve on the board of directors. So we have 5 board of directors members. We have the directorate, which is located in St. Lucia. And we have 5 NTRCs, the National Telecommunication Regulatory Commissions, which we will talk a lot more later, because these are the local regulators that do quite a lot of things on the ground. Now, ECTEL, we are like an advisory body, and then we provide this advice to the NTRCs, also to the Council of Ministers, and the board help run the organization. But that is an overview of the regulatory structure of ECTEL.
Okay, awesome. So how exactly does ECTEL go about regulating electronic communication? 5 members.
Okay, right. Well, in terms of regulating across the ECTEL member states, we work with the NTRCs to do so. But before we get on to that, I'd just like to just talk about some of the main purposes of ECTEL. Since the inception in 2000, when the market was liberalized across the ECTEL member states. And if you remember, for those, that's 21 years ago, when there was a monopoly, the governments decided to liberalize the sector, the telecommunication sector, and to provide some uniformity across the 5 member states. Hence the formation of ECTEL, to provide a liberalized and competitive infrastructure across the 5 member states. So it's very important, it's very similar to like the European Union, so that when providers, whether they're operating in Grenada or St. Vincent or St. Lucia, you have a very harmonized structure across to operate. So in terms of regulating, we do work with the NTRCs. We provide, we do things like various regulations. We have a consultative process in terms of bringing in new regulations, new legislation. And so we work with the NTRCs to promote this open and competitive environment across the 5 member states.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Millet. So many people in the 5 member states often complain about poor telecommunication service. Does ECTEL have a role in dealing with this issue?
Yes, it's really unfortunate to hear this. We have been hearing this from the citizens of our member states. We have been hearing it from our ministers of the poor quality of service. And this is something that we're working on. It's very important that we improve the quality of service, apart from other things in terms of lowering the prices, but the quality of service is something that we definitely have to improve. The pandemic has taught us quite a lot in terms of now that we are working from home, how important the quality of service is to not only business customers, also to residential customers. We have been looking at and working on this in different agendas. We have the firstly, I would say the regulatory and legislative agenda. To help improve the quality of service. We have been working on things like a new quality of service regulation. We also working on a customer protection regulation. So we are looking at the various aspects there. We're also looking at and discussing the items with the NTRCs and service providers to see how they can improve the service. Also, we're working with the World Bank. And this is something that we have started even before the pandemic, because we realize the state of the telecommunications and issues in terms of quality of service. So that project, the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, would help improve the quality of service in terms of the regulations. But more importantly, we would like to have a platform where we can actually monitor the state of all of the systems, whether it's broadband or mobile. And when the service degrades, we can actually report it to the providers in a real-time manner. So I think all in all, we'll work with the NTRCs and the service providers to really improve the quality of service that are being offered to the citizens of our member states going forward.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Mr. Millet. So as I mentioned earlier, today is World Telecommunication and Information Society Day, and the theme is accelerating digital transformation in challenging times. What exactly does fast-tracking digital transformation during this global pandemic look like, and what is ECTEL's role in achieving this?
Okay, in terms of fast-tracking, one of the first things that fast-tracked it, I think, is really the pandemic. In terms of our ability to do things remotely. So what are we doing remotely? We're working from home remotely now. We're doing a lot of transactions remotely. We're paying utility bills, we're paying for government services. So all of those things are very important for us. So our role is really to try to promote this going forward. We do it in a number of different ways. You may have heard of the Universal Service Fund, which the NTRCs have used to help promote this by buying devices for school kids so that they can study from home. We have been using it also in some jurisdictions to provide service in areas that were not served before. As I talked about before, in terms of the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, we are looking at various aspects that we could improve in terms of fast tracking it. So we have quite a number of platforms that we were using, but important, I think, also in terms of digital transformation is not all about equipment, but it's also the people of our member states. So we do have to ensure that our people are trained to use this technology so that we really maximize what we can do remotely and how we can promote digital transformation across our member states.
Thanks, Mr. Millet. Someone just informed me that they're having troubles. Hopefully, it's not happening with the other viewers, and it's probably just for computers. So we're just going to trust that everyone else is hearing us clearly, and we're going to press forward. Thanks for that response. Yes. So many people have resorted to working from home due to COVID-19. Are there any tips you'd like to share considering the increased use of technology?
Okay, thanks. I mean, we at ECTEL had to do the very same in terms of working from home. Again, one of the first things you have to ensure is that your staff are comfortable at their home to perform the functions, whether it's giving them a comfortable chair, but that is very important. So we start with the staff. Then we have to look at the various equipment that the staff we have to use, and the devices. So computers, a solid broadband access to the home is necessary, access to electronic databases, and then, collaborative tools, I think, that are so important now in the use of, say, Zoom or MS Teams. Those tools are very much used now, and it really help in the communications between staff and, able to do their work effectively going forward. But importantly, when a staff begin to work from home, is the security of the information and data is also very important. So we may have to establish virtual private networks across from their homes to the databases in order to transmit things effectively and safely. So, so you have to look at it for all aspects. One, in terms of the staff being able to work home comfortable, and you have to provide the staff with the necessary tools in order to work effectively going forward. But this, I think, is very important that we continue to do, even after the pandemic. So, when people travel or are unable to come into to the office on a given day, you can use these tools going forward to help, increase our effectiveness from remote operations.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Millet. And I'd just like to commend ECTEL's management team because they have done an awesome job with ensuring that you're communicating, whether it's via Teams or Zoom, and providing the equipment so that the work continues seamlessly. So we do hope that other organizations are able to just do the very same to ensure that there is productivity. There was a recent cybersecurity attack in the US. The cyber attack hits Colonial Pipeline, which carries gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel from Texas to New York and moves about 45% of all fuel consumed on the East Coast. What are your thoughts on that? And what should the Eastern Caribbean do to ensure that a similar attack does not occur in our region?
Okay, well, this brings the importance of cybersecurity, very important. But first thing I must mention is that it's not a mandate of ECTEL with respect to cybersecurity, but rather in the region, we have CARICOM Impacts, which is based in Trinidad. But We do promote broadband, the use of broadband and other technologies. So it's really important that we take an integral step in terms of bringing the awareness to our member states, the citizens of our member states. This is very important because that was an example of ransomware, where the attackers actually will do this, corrupt your data, and then request money in order to restore it. So it's very important, I think, in a region that we take the necessary steps to protect our personal data and business networks. And this can affect anything. It can affect the banking system, the government system, the telecommunication networks. So cybersecurity is very important. It's very important that we make the investments in this field, and we also take the necessary step to test the effectiveness of what we actually do. So cybersecurity is, as I said, it's so important going forward, especially as we move more and more to do things online, whether it's online banking. And if we don't have that trust, if we don't have that stability in networks, I think this will cause the persons not to use the technology. So it's very important that we maintain the confidence that we have in the online networks and use of technology, and make the necessary investments in our cyber, the security measures for our data, whether it's personal or through our business.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Millet. What are some of the main misconceptions you say the public has about ECTEL?
I think most of the things really is that we don't regulate at this time content, say like broadcasts, so what goes over radio stations. So we currently just do for infrastructure, telecommunications infrastructure, and other things like mobile, broadband, fixed networks, but not regulating things like on the content within those networks. We are formed by a treaty, and so those are some of the things that I might not be aware of. But I think quite a number of people may know the NTRCs but not ECTEL, but using this platform, hopefully that will change, and the role that we do across the member states.
Okay, awesome. You mentioned earlier our partnership with NTRCs to ensure that through the Universal Service Fund that many projects are accomplished, whether it's the purchasing of equipment for school children or PPEs when we first had COVID. But are there any other major accomplishments to date that you'd like to share that ECTEL has?
Yes, of course. After 21 years of operation, we have done quite a lot. If you look at from the time we liberalized the market in 2000, so much has been achieved in terms of the rates of telecommunication services. If you recall, at the time, in 2000, the customer call to the US or UK maybe $5 EC a minute. Now it has been reduced significantly. So firstly, you talk about reduction in the rates. You talk about introduction of a lot more new services. And one of them I could talk about in 2019, the 3rd of June 2019, is introduction of mobile number portability, which I know our citizens use this quite a lot across the region. We are currently working on fixed number portability, and we hope to have that launch very, very soon. We have introduced quite a lot of legislation and regulations across over the 21 years to improve the services, and we continue to do so. Most recently, the Electronic Communication Act has been promulgated in St. Kitts and Nevis, and we hope that other member states achieve this, later on this year. And this, you will see, will improve quite significantly some of the things that we were talking about, including quality of service, as we introduce new regulations associated with the new act. So we have done quite a lot. And, most importantly too, I think, is our harmonized structure across the 5 member states. And I know this is something that I think most of the governments would like to extend across even the Caribbean, where we can have a unified regulatory system across the whole of CARICOM. It would really improve and provide the platform for ease of doing business by telecommunications providers. And, so I think it will help quite a lot. But we have achieved quite a lot, but there is a lot more work to be done that we discussed earlier on in terms of the quality of service.
Okay, thanks for sharing those, Mr. Millet. Any closing remarks from you? Closing words?
Yes, well, I think, the pandemic has really highlighted the importance of electronic communications and the work that we do going forward. So I think it's really important that we continue to work with the providers, work with the NTRCs to ensure that electronic communications across our 5 member states are improved greatly going forward. We need to look at the necessary policies, legislation, regulations to ensure that, it's really to world-class standard in terms of, especially on the consumer protection and, things like net neutrality regulations that we're just about to implement also to ensure that the one of the most important platforms, broadband, remains neutral and service providers don't do any blocking across it. So it's a matter of really preparing our environment, our business, our infrastructure for digital transformation going forward. So I think just to let the citizens know that we are working to improve the electronic communications across our member states, because it's very, very, very vital that we do so, and to ensure that our member states, up with the world-class infrastructure that we ought to do in order to attract businesses and for retail operations.
All right. Thanks so much, Mr. Millet, for spending the time with us for our very first episode of ECTEL Bytes. All right. So if you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below and we'll be sure to reply. And before I wrap up, on April 30th, we had a virtual tech talk for Girls in ICT Day. And we have listened to some of the persons, and we're hoping that the prizes now, which are Amazon gift cards, would be more appealing. So we're hoping that our girls ages 8 to 16 from the Caribbean will enter. We're going to be posting the updated information on our social media platform later today. So I'm just encouraging you, if you're a parent, encourage your daughter or ward to enter. It's very simple. We're just asking girls to take a picture of themselves interacting with social media, essentially, not social media, technology. They could be using the computer or their telephone or the radio, anything. And then they're going to listen back to the session that we had with the 4 speakers and just basically give the main thing that stands out to them. One thing from each speaker. It's that simple, and they could win Amazon gift cards. So look out on our social media page for that. We are on YouTube. Our handle is @ECTEL. For Facebook, again, ECTEL. Instagram, we are there at ECTEL Authority. On Twitter, we're also there, ECTEL Authority. And our website is www.ectel, that's ECTL.int. So we'll be back again on May 26th for episode number 2, right here on Facebook, that's @ECTEL. Our intention is to be here every last Wednesday of every month from 2 p.m. EST. We're going to be talking with more staff of ECTEL, as well as hopefully the NTRC. St. Kitts already confirmed that they're going to be on talking about the Universal Service Fund, which is doing amazing work in the 5 member states. So we're looking forward to having them on, and we're going to tell you exactly when. I'm your host, Loretta Crooks-Charles, ECTEL's Communications and Media Relations Manager. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, do keep safe and take care.